Welcome to the Arsenal Show. We are live. And North London is red. It has been confirmed. We confirmed that on Sunday. Well, we knew that anyway. Because the noisy neighbours, even at the peak of their powers, they've not done anything to knock Arsenal off their perch. They kept the seat warm for a few seasons, but that is over now. All right. I'm joined by Steve. How you doing, Steve?
Yeah, you're doing, mate. Still buzzing over the weekend, and yeah, use them words many a time over the last few days. That North London's red, but as you said, it's always been red, mate. It's always been red, always been that way. Maybe in not league positions, but you know, in other ways, it's always been red.
No, definitely. We've got plenty to discuss today. We're going to delve deeper into the 3-1 victory against Spurs. We'll be talking about, the build-up towards the end. The build-up towards the halfway point of the season, and when can we be really considered in the race? Now, I'm not going to say a challenge because for me, it comes in certain sections. First of all, you've got to be in the race. Then once you're in the race, then towards the end of the season, if you are still there with, I'd probably say about 5 to 8 games left, if you're still around there, then you can probably say you're in a title challenge. But until then, I'm not even entertaining that. And we'll also be talking about the contract of our 3 kings, William Saliba, Bukayo Saka and Martinelli, how important it is to tie them down. Of course, we'll be asking Steve if they've got any of the latest on those deals and whatever else Arsenal comes our way. Steve, first and foremost, a little bit of a recap. I'm sure it's not going to be too taxing for you of Arsenal's win on Saturday. What do you think the key component was to Arsenal getting the 3 points and winning so comfortably?
I think the key component was that it's the same what it's been all season really. It's the way we start. I think it's the way we start in games it was the key component. Straight from the kickoff, in their faces, on the front foot. You know, when they did get possession, sort of getting those 2 banks of ball very quickly, pressing from the front. Closing them down, not giving them time to breathe at any point, which this seems to be the way we're playing at home and away this season. But it certainly wasn't in evident against Tottenham on Sunday, and they couldn't live with it. Kears, I said at the beginning, not at the beginning of the show. Last week, and we spoke a little bit about the game, that I felt that our centre forwards could easily take them to the cleaners and just give them torrid the whole game. I think that's what they did. Not only with their attacking play, not with the way Martinelli was running at them from one side, and the way Saka was running them from the other side. I mean, they was hot, all through the game. They was excellent. We give them 9 out of 10s. Jesus was Jesus. He was doing the same, and I think they were scared. I think the Tottenham defence was scared. I don't think they could live with them. Then you had the backup from the midfield with Xhaka and Partey. Been phenomenal all season when Partey's been fit, and they've been as a pair. Even when the Congas come in, they've been solid. So that was that, and the defence was just eating everything up at the back there. Even when Tottenham came a little bit strong in the second half, we held well. Saliba was phenomenal, and I think overall that was the key to why we won the match, mate.
Oh, you mentioned Arsenal start the season. So when Arsenal don't start with the kind of pace and the sort of promise that they're showing, especially against Tottenham, do you feel like you can already tell that it's going to be a tough game when you see Arsenal not coming out the blocks?
Yeah. When they're not coming out the blocks, you wonder. You think, well, Arteta must have said something to them, or they're worried. Definitely there's that. There was times when that happened towards the end of last season, where we couldn't work out why all of a sudden we was dropping off, why we had these, these banks of not banks of, it was just the pressing wasn't there. They seemed to be a little bit scared. Maybe we didn't have the personnel then. We didn't have Saliba then. We didn't have Jesus then. We didn't have Zinchenko then. I mean, they've come in and made a massive difference. But yeah, you're right. When you know that if they're not pressing, something ain't right. But you can only see going on with this team that they're not. The important thing is, Kears, is not that I don't think what's going to happen now. Arteta's going to go out there and he's going to say, look, very similar to Pep, the way he is with City. He said it many a time. You've heard their fans say it many a time. Let's not worry about them. Let them worry about us. Let's not care what they're going to do. Let's not worry about how they play. Let them worry about us. Let them worry about the way we press, the way we attack, the way we win the ball back. If we can do that, and as you say, you keep the ball, you win the match. You can't, and that's the way I think we're going on. And now I think we've got the players to do that. We're in the past, mate. We know we haven't had the players to do that at all. So yeah, we've suffered for it.
Aside from the potentially maybe a William Saliba, because we know that Ben White's been excellent this season. We'll get onto that in a bit. And potentially Jesus setting an example from the front. There's not too many differences in the team. What do you think the difference was last year? Could you think potentially it was a mentality thing? And I've seen Ramsdale's comments. So I'll pull them up in a sec, where he alludes to potentially Mikel Arteta may have used last season as a motivation so that it doesn't happen again.
Yeah. I mean, I think football. Football's a massive. The word mentality. When you're playing football or you're a player, is massive. If you go out onto a pitch and your psyche ain't right, then you're not gonna play well. And there was too much of that last season. And Arteta said after many a game, he said, we wasn't set right. The mentality wasn't right. We went into the game, thinking we'd lost the game already. But it is like he has used that season last year to sort of say, look, okay, let me get into my players. They're new players. They're young players. Let them. I've got my team now. This is my team. And it's not like a bit of. He's shifted all the bad eggs out. He's got my team there. Now I need a season or two to get my philosophy into these players, which is the City way, probably. This is the mentality I want you to have. And he's brought in the odd couple of players. He's brought in the Jesuses. He's brought in the Zinchenkos. Saliba, I don't think anybody knew what he was going to become. And all these players have just fitted into what we've already have, and what with players like Nketiah, they've lifted to another level. Xhaka has gone up another level. This is it's all Mikel Arteta and the confidence. You've heard Xhaka talk, when he kept saying that, Mikel Arteta is just incredible, and it's, the reason why he stayed at Arsenal was because of Mikel Arteta and nothing else. Mm-hmm. So he's obviously doing something right and instilling the right kind of, mental philosophy into the players.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. Absolutely, fully agree. And going on this season, how important is it that they push on, keep this mentality, and don't let any sort of defeats get into their heads?
Well, yeah, it's massively important. This is the sign of a team that will go on and win the top honours or challenge for the top honours. And the good thing about this season that we've had a little taste of it already. We went to Manchester United. We played well. We played well enough to win the game. We lost the game. Now, Arsenal of old, we've come away and probably gone on a free match, run where we've not played well. May have won an odd scrappy game at Highbury and drawn one and lost one away, but straight away after the Man United game, there was no drop. There's been no drop since the first game in the season to the Tottenham game on Sunday. We lost the game in the middle. They just carried on the way they should do. Without, there's been no drop offs. It's all the same. It's like the whole of these games have been exactly the same. They've been carbon copied. Even the one we've lost has been a carbon copy. From the first game of the season to the Tottenham game. And it's massively important. Because as soon as you lose, and that goes back to the mentality thing. You can just say you've seen it on the pitch, the huddles. The cuddles on the pitch. After we score, come on, let's not put our heads. Let's not think we've won the game. This 0-0. Let's go again. And how many times this season, kids have teams knocked a goal back against us. We've seen it 3 times, 3-4 times. It doesn't bother them.
Yeah.
It's like it just shrugs their shoulder, right? Okay, fair enough. We're going to go and score another one. Brilliant. Fantastic. Yeah. So good.
And it's also a big sign of Arsenal's progression that last season, how often were we sitting here and people were talking about it's a test. We've got Villa, it's a test. We've got Leicester, it's a test. We've got so-and-so, it's a test. We've got so-and-so, a test. And it was like, well, every week you're saying it's a test. Now, people are saying Tottenham's a test. Are you done, Tottenham? And it's almost as if they're just brushing over the Tottenham win, like Tottenham weren't undefeated before this game. Yeah. And now people are talking about, okay, let's see where Arsenal really are when they play Liverpool and Man City.
It's always the same, isn't it?
But that shows that the level, they're never going to give us the praise until we've won something or we're actually challenging to it. We don't care about them, yeah? But if you listen to the way they're speaking, they're now saying our test is Liverpool and Man City, which shows where we've come from last season to Aston Villa was a test. Yeah. Leicester was a test. Now it's Liverpool, Man City. And I know Liverpool are not in the best of form. And if we were to get a result against Liverpool, again, people would brush that aside and say this is Klopp's team and they're not in form. But it will happen, Steve. It will happen.
It will.
But
it will.
Again, it's the fact that they're saying the tests are now City and Liverpool is good for us, isn't it?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's where we want to be in it, kids. It's where we want to be. We want to be in that. We want to be in that conversation where they're talking, about us in the same breath as Man City and Liverpool. That's the challenge, isn't it? That's the challenge for this season to go through. Whether we, do well, whether we finish first, second, third, fourth, we want to be in the conversation right to the end of the season. And if we can do that, then I'll be an happy man. Okay, it's like you said, you get 12 with 5 games to go, then your mind starts playing with yourself, if you're there. It's very difficult to say. I've heard a few people say, people say like, there's 3 games to go, and if we lose out and we finish 4th, then I'll be still happy. But I'm like, you won't be when that time comes.
I was just about to jump on that. Like, but it's also very important that we don't get sort of sidetracked from the goal. Like, look, if we was to be in a position where we were towards the end of the season, we're still in the conversation. But we shouldn't be getting towards the end of the season, potentially be in that conversation, and then all of a sudden it goes the wrong way, and then we just get top 4. We shouldn't be sitting here screaming that this ain't good enough and we've flopped again. This failure. Like I didn't like the words last season. Failure. I just thought it was too harsh. And when you look back on it, it is too hard. It was too harsh because it was progression. Like I keep pointing out the fact that people from the outside now want to turn around and say, "Oh, all of a sudden Arsenal are doing this and Arsenal are doing that." But it's not all of a sudden. This is not all of a sudden.
No.
This is. We spoke about this last season. Towards the end of the season before, the run that Arsenal had from January till the end of the season was phenomenal, was brilliant. Because the first half of the season was awful. Yeah, they started the season poorly with three losses, but then they carried on the way we were expecting them to play once they had their full team back in place. Injuries came in towards the end of the season, and the fact that we lost out of Aubameyang, the fact that Lacazette, you couldn't get a game out of him anymore because his head was gone. And it was a bit up and down, but still, we've seen the progression. We've seen our expectations are going up because we're expecting better games against these lower teams, more entertained against these lower teams, putting on a better battle against the bigger teams like Man City and Liverpool. This isn't new to us, but people are missing out that gap in between, and it's almost as they're making out like it's a miracle, or the signings that we brought in have been the game changer. And it's more than that. It's more than that.
No,
it's the philosophy that Mikel Arteta has brought in, and the mentality he's bringing in through the players. And you've seen that with the fan base as well.
We lost out in the Champions League last year by 1 point to the fantastic Tottenham Hotspurs, who were full flying, and as per usual, you know, they're the darlings, aren't they? Tottenham of the media and the television. You know, we lost out by 1 point, and I think what the good thing is about Arsenal as far as like us fans go. I mean, there is still probably a very small element, not as much now, who will probably get a little bit sidetracked if we didn't get Champions League, or we finish fourth or whatever, or they don't get to where they want to be. But we was 1 point away from the Champions League, and I think what was good is that we knew why we missed out on Champions League. We knew, I knew, you knew, Mikel Arteta knew. We all knew, and so we knew going into this season what we needed. I mean, at the beginning of last season, I wasn't too worried about the beginning of the season. I again, similar to like I just said, I knew why. You know, there was reasons why we lost those first 3 games. Injuries, the COVID. You know, we was playing Man City, the champions, and Chelsea. You know, it was a difficult time, and then we thought what we picked up after that, and then we went on a fantastic run. The whole season on a run that we never expected that we would be on. You know, we was probably above, where we thought we would be. You know, we never thought we would be in that 4th place going for Champions League. We was all saying that we'd be happy with Europa League. But yeah, we sort of got towards that end of the season, and we missed out. January we should have bought, we didn't, and again we just had a squad was small. It needed, and he's fixed it this time. He's brought in, he hasn't brought many players in, but sometimes, Kieran, you don't need many players. You've got a team.
You need the right players.
You need the right. Look at Liverpool. Let's take Liverpool just quickly. Liverpool, we were saying, they're nearly there. They're not there. They're not there. They need a couple of players, and then they can win the Champions League. Then they can win the league. And that's what they went and did. They went and bought Alisson. They went and bought Van Dijk, and they bought Fabinho in. And that was that. And that was the end of. And then they went on and won the league. And then they went and won the Champions League. They was in exactly the same position as Arsenal. Now, I'm not saying Arsenal are going to go and do that. They might. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? Saliba might be our Van Dijk. Xhaka might be our Fabinho, who's come out of nowhere. Jesus is the player where we needed, where Liverpool needed a Van Dijk, we needed a centre forward. We've got Jesus now. We needed a back position field. Now, who's to say we ain't going to go and do what they can do? Obviously, we can't win the Champions League. We're not in it.
Flip it. Liverpool were how many points off Man City last season? 1, 2, 3?
Yeah.
And so they're not far off Man City last season. They then go and make 2 signings, which you could say are maybe not. It may be harsh to say they're wrong signings, but let's just say they're the wrong signings. Nunes, and then end up bringing in Arthur Melo, and look how far off they are now. They lose Mane, and I feel like they massively underestimated what Mane brought to Liverpool, and they replaced that with Melo in a position that they needed for a while. They've not been able to replace yet, and up front, and it's not. it's not worked out so far. So on the flip side, it could be the same thing there. It's very important who you bring in, what you bring in. It's not just about numbers, which we were critical of Arsenal in the January transfer window when they didn't bring in anyone. But also on the flip side of that, we did say that look, it is important that Arsenal bring in the right player as well. And there was worry that it could come back to bite us in the arse, and some people will say it did. But I just don't feel that in January Arsenal were going to get a Gabriel Jesus. It wasn't to be in January. Central midfielder. Well, we brought in Fabio Vieira, and he's on the bench. So it's not been a position in there where they have brought in a first team player. So that's still the same as it was last season. Yes, you can say they've added Zinchenko, but altogether, it's not just the personnel. I think it's the mentality of the personnel, what they've brought to the team, the energy, and it's just doubled down on what Mikel Arteta has been trying to instill into the team. If you look at Aaron Ramsdale's comments, he's said it's not just the lads who have come in who have brought in a winning mentality. He says we all have a fire burning inside us because of what happened at the end of last season. The experiences at the end of last season are adding to the team spirit and mentality. The day I returned to pre-season 2 weeks late through internationals, I came back and the standard training had increased. People were demanding more of each other and training was a lot more competitive. There was always a certain people who were upset at losing in training, but now it's a collective. And that is exactly what you want to hear. They're asking more of each other, which is bringing up standards. And that is when you've got players asking more of each other, not pointing the finger, shouting, barking, and giving a sort of perception that you're not good enough, you're not as good as me. It's not that. It's it will be the flip side. It will be you're better than that. If something goes wrong, we need to up our levels. So you're asking more of each other on a competitive level, not a criticism level. And when you've got that in a team, that sort of team spirit, it's an extra man. Look at what Leicester were doing when they've got that belief. What if Arsenal can get a result against Man City and Liverpool? Now I'm not saying they have to win against them, but if they can get a draw against those two teams, that is the kind of belief where you'll look at every other game and think, we have to beat you and we will beat you. And when they start believing that they can go through every single team and they can beat every team, this Arsenal team is going to be frightening. Because I agree. I don't think right now they're still out of second gear. Because I said a few weeks ago, when Arsenal, everyone plays an 8, and it will come soon. When everyone plays an 8, we'll smash a team like 6-7, 1-7-0. We will obliterate a team. And then that's when people will be like, oh my God, like Arsenal are a serious threat. And I feel like it's coming because we've still not seen Saka at an 8. We've still not seen Martinelli hitting a couple of goals and an assist. And we know he can do that. He's got the energy. He's got the directness. He's got the power. And he's playing brilliantly. But if he can add a couple of goals in the game to that as well. Jesus, he's nearly there. He's not quite there. But again, he's been brilliant. Xhaka, Partey, couple of more games, a nice run of games with them two together. Odegaard hitting off in a game as well. When you've got that whole collective of that second top half of the team going, I'm scared for every other team in the Premier League.
You would be scared, wouldn't you? You would be scared.
I would be frightened to play against this team.
You would be scared.
Frightened. And I think other teams are. Other teams are worried about Arsenal at the moment. There's that sort of, they're still trying to mock without mocking because they're going to look stupid. They're still trying to throw shade on every win that we've got, but they can't. Man United fans were waxing lyrical about beating us, but deep down inside, they knew that was a hit and run. They know that was a hit and run. You ask any Man United fan in secret at the point when it was 1-1, what was your feeling? They would say, I was scared. I was worried Arsenal were going to come and score a couple of goals and win the game then. They were worried, and they hit us.
Yeah.
They hit us on the break. It was robbery. So yeah, I think there's a lot more to come from Arsenal, and I think other teams are in trouble. It might not be this season, but yeah, if we can keep this team, the progression, the trajectory,
you can't help but be excited, though, can you? You just
I'm
can't.
so excited.
You know, I haven't seen anything like this since the Invincibles. And that's not an exaggeration. It's not an exaggeration. That's not saying something like ridiculous, like, "Oh, we're going to win the title." Exaggeration. Mm-hmm. To say this is the best team since the Invincibles, I don't think there is. I'll be, I know there isn't. There hasn't been a better team than this since the Invincibles. We don't seem to have a weakness in any position. If you look at our centre backs, you go, Saliba unbelievable, Gabriel fantastic, left backs. Which one do you want to play? Him or him? Right, but who's going to play? Him or him? Midfield, our midfield now is up there with the best in the league. I mean, maybe not, for skill wise or that type of thing. I mean, we've got Odegaard, but for like, going out there and wanting to win, and you talk about, at Fear Factor in the tunnel, I bet they won't stare Xhaka and Partey out in the tunnel, many teams. Because they're going out there, and it's like I said to you on the post match on Sunday. I believe that those two go out there thinking, I don't care who you are or what you do and what your name is, right? Yeah, you might get the better of me, but I don't think I'm scared of you. And that's the type of mentality you want. Yeah, they might get the better of you. De Bruyne might get the better of you 1 week or something like that. When we pay them. But they've got this mentality now. We've used this word so many times on tonight's show. The mentality of this team is up there with Man City. And when I look at other teams in the league at the minute, at this moment in time, again, I'm not saying we're going to win the league, but if you look at the mentality of other teams, that we're up there with the best. We're up there with the best. You've seen us come from behind. You've seen us lose games. Doesn't bother us. Just shrug it off your shoulders. It's just exciting. And as Arsenal fans, Kears, as me and you have watched it for so many years, we've watched players like Martinelli and Saka grow, 3-4 years now, since they've been at the club, since they started coming into the team. We know they haven't even reached, third gear yet. There's so much more to come from those. And it's mega exciting. And I think probably Liverpool will be scared of us now. They'll be worried. They'll be worried about playing us.
It's definitely a good time to be playing Liverpool. I'll take Liverpool, not an out of form Liverpool any day.
They won't be favourites. I'll tell you that. I don't think they won't be favourites to win that game, and that says a lot. Yeah,
it does say a lot, considering I think they've beaten us the last 4 times at home in the league, 5 times at home in the league. So yeah, it's definitely a game we need to get one over them. Stephen says, next season, everyone will be fit after a season they've been together. How much better will these guys be? Wow. They can be that good, in my opinion. I haven't seen, up in third gear. It's exactly what I was saying, mate. Spot on. Yeah, it's exactly my thoughts. I don't feel like this team is really, you've not seen this team absolutely everyone at it. Now, everyone's playing well, but there's still a bar to get to go above. 100%. I do believe that. Martin Odegaard mentioned the other day that the goal that Partey scored was something that they do in training, and it's not a surprise that went in. So once again, the things that they're doing in training, they're putting out on the pitch. I remember when Mikel Arteta first came in, I've already spoken about this. I did a little write-up after watching a few training sessions, and he was meticulous because he could see he could see that there's players in this team that have got the potential. And one of them that I've done the write-up about was Granit Xhaka. How Mikel Arteta took him aside after watching him in training and was like, "You're too static." And that can be the complaints that people had about him. His mobility.
Mobility, yeah.
It's not because he can't move. It's because he was training poor. He was training bad habits. Now, Mikel Arteta grabbed him like a school teacher and moved him and said, here, move here, move here. Not stand there and stick a foot out, this and that. Move. On your toes, move. And those little
like a boxer.
nuances, yes, those little things, footwork is so important. And especially if you're a big person, especially if you're a big guy, it's hard. It's not easy to move about fast. You use your power, you use your presence, you use your aerial ability. That's what you use when you're bigger. So if you can use your footwork, you've got good footwork, you've got that added thing that other people won't have over you. And Mikel Arteta has definitely brought that out in Granit Xhaka.
That goal, just going back to that goal, you said like Odegaard said that they do that in training. Did you know there were 22 passes leading up to that goal? I watched that back. They had Tottenham running. I tell you what, if you had that, do you know that Benny Hill music? You know, if you was to put a fast forward on button, you'd be going, and you'd see all the Tottenham players just running and running and running, and they just, it gave me. I ain't joking. It gave me goose pimples.
Honestly,
to see that pass, he just went ding, ding, ding. You've seen Son running there, pass it into Odegaard, pass it into Xhaka, pass it over there, wide over to White. Then eventually it get over to the other side with Zinchenko into the midfield, then back over to Saka, into White, into Partey, bang.
And it's similar. If you remember the Brentford game before, Arsenal did a similar thing. They got the ball down the wing. They took it all the way back to defence, all the way back round. Saliba got it. That got passed up the wing. And I was like, oh, my God, Arsenal going to score a goal with about 35 passes. It got to Jesus, and he hit one-on-one, and the goalkeeper saved it. And it's just like, that's happening more and more often. And it's Steve, we've seen this before. This was the way Arsenal used to play, which was quick passing, quick movement, goals that you know are going to happen, but you just can't stop because the pass is too quick. Absolutely brilliant.
You're frightened to say that's the way Man City play, but that's what Man City do. They just pass it and pass it and pass it and pass it and pass it until they open you up and they get that space, and then they punish you. And that was exactly. I'm not saying we're as good as City. So like people who are watching out there in Twitter and Facebook and the guys here, I'm not saying that at all. But the fact that he's worked with 3 years with Pep Guardiola and he's won the titles as a coach as many times as he has, you can see what he's trying to do. It's plain on the eye.
Steve, when Sheikh Mansour took over Man City, he wanted Man City to play like Arsenal. It was stated in a thingy that they looked. He wants Man City to play like Arsenal. Now Arsenal are playing Man City. This is the Arsenal way. This is not the Man City. This is the Arsenal way. Mikel Arteta is taking it back to how we used to play. Now we've added that. We've got the still in the middle, which was the Patrick Vieira and Petit. We've got the quick passing. We've got the Thierry Henry in the Gabriel Jesus. We've got the Ljungberg in Saka. We've got the Overmars in Martinelli. It's just all over the pitch. And like I said, these are youngsters still. The players that I'm talking about there, they were in their late 20s, mid to late 20s coming in. Not Vieira, he was young, but mid to late 20s, they were experienced players. These are still youngsters, and there's still so much room to grow as well. Yeah,
it's brilliant, unreal. It's so exciting.
It's one of the stats. Xhaka continued his excellent start to the season with man of the match performance. The Switzerland international won 100% of his aerial duels. He made 6 recoveries and completed all 3 of his long balls and made a key pass. So he got an assist. So he was absolutely brilliant the other day. Another player, absolutely brilliant. William Saliba, another impressive performance. Centre back enjoyed 96% pass accuracy. Recovered the ball 11 times and won 3 attempted tackles. completely shutting out Harry Kane. Unless you can count penalties all you want, but that don't count in my eyes. Completely shut him out. It's a good penalty. I don't get excited over penalties.
No.
Another player, look, Saliba, Xhaka, Partey, excellent. Martinelli, excellent. But a player who's got no, like, what feels like zero credit, and it feels like people are trying to understate his performance. Ben White. Why is Ben White? Why is it? I go online, and I should just stay away from social media, yeah, because I go online, yeah, and then nothing said about Ben White, and then you'll find a comment about Ben White, and then you'll find a comment about Ben White like it's like they're trying to find bad things from him. What is going on? What is go on?
Yeah, no. To me, he's the player who other fans will try and look upon because he may not be that big a name as some of the others. So they think, right, Ben White must be doing something wrong. Let's analyse him. Let's rip him up. Oh yeah, there was something in the, we've said it many a time, in the 15th minute, 32 seconds where he overhit a ball or something, where someone didn't range, something stupid like that. I mean, I give Ben White, I mean, people probably thinking I was going over the top, but I give him a 9 against Tottenham because I watched him the whole game. I've watched him all season, and he's turning into, I mean, he's taken Tommy Ashew's, position as a right back, and he's there to stay for me at this moment. I feel sorry for Tommy Ashew because I absolutely love him, but he's turned into a right back now who I used to say that, he's excellent at defending. He's good in the air. I love the way he cuts inside with the ball. I love that turn of pace where he'd take himself away from the defenders when he's coming into the midfield. He does that a lot. I love the way he's hitting balls left. I'm loving the way he's hitting the balls right. He's continuously doing this against Spurs, and I'm like, just keep doing it, Ben. Don't let me go on the post match and say that you was like a 10 out of 10. But he was incredible, and he's even getting down the lines now.
Yeah,
he's even getting down the lines.
It's reminding me a bit of Thomas Meunier of Dortmund and PSG.
Yeah,
tall. He's getting down the lines. Looks built like a centre back. Ben White is a centre back, but now, as you said, he's getting crosses in. He's getting down the line.
Yeah.
His expected assist, his XA is 0.99. So it's essentially he's expected 1 assist a game. Like Ben White, centre back, has now got an expected assist ratio of 1 assist a game. 1 assist per game. This is a centre back. This is a centre back. Like, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
I don't know if it was for a goal. Was it for the goal? Was it for the Saka goal that eventually Xhaka goal that eventually it went round to sky? And I think there was a move that went on the right hand side.
No, it was the move on the right hand side. So he got 2. Yeah, there was 2. So and he knocked it back to Gabriel Jesus, and Gabriel Jesus should have done better. He headed it wide. He should have done better. But it's a lovely ball in from Ben White. And the previous game against Bournemouth, very similar thing. He got a cross into Gabriel Jesus. Gabriel Jesus put it wide, but Ben White did actually get an assist in that game as well.
I think Jesus was shocked.
I think he was.
But it was the overlaps. It was the overlaps, kids. Yeah. The way they played. He coming forward. He played the 1-2 with Saka, and then he went on the overlap and got his cross in. And you're like, this is just something else. He's obviously Arteta said, look, you're great at this, you're great at that. Now let's see if you can get down them lines. See if you can play 1-2 with Saka. Use that pace that you've got at the back to get past players. See what you got. And he's doing that. And he's even got that to his game. And big up to Ian Wright because he called him out. He called him out. He was the first player that he could have called out any player that day. He could have pulled out Xhaka. He could have pulled out Jesus. He went.
Yeah, but I think
and he pulled out Ben White and he showed a little 2-minute clips on what he done in that game. And I thought, yes, but he's singing right.
I think that was done on purpose though, because Ian he's very aware of socials. Like, he's very aware. He knows what's going on, and he would have seen that Xhaka is turned on Xhaka, and Xhaka's now getting praise. Everyone loves Partey. The obvious, the Martinellis, the young ones, and Jesus and Saliba, obviously. and he's obviously seen that Ben White doesn't get any praise. Because Ben White was very good the other day, but was he the best player on the pitch? I don't think he was. But I think that was done on purpose to say, look, give this guy some praise, give this guy some credit because he's been brilliant this season. And I thought that was excellent of Ian Wright to do that because he's an unsung hero for me, Ben White. He puts his body on the line. Yes, some people will say he goes down to ground too much, but he's been excellent. Stephen says Ben White's stats are incredible, but he still doesn't get the credit he should. No, he doesn't, and his stats are incredible. Ben White is a colossus. I love the guy. You have to be getting desperate. You try to pick a fault with Ben White. It's the stupidest stat. It is, and that's the thing.
It's like you're falling in love with the players again, aren't you, kids? You feel like that. You feel that you're protecting them now, and you want to. But yeah, I loved it. I know I keep saying on about it, but I love Ben White. I love him. I just think about him. I liked him at Leeds. I liked him at Brighton. He's worth every penny of that money. I keep hearing people say, "Oh, would you pay for that for Ben?" We've heard it, haven't we? Ben White, 50 million. Goal. That was a bit of a, you lost your money there, haven't you? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Watch him, see what he does.
Yes. See what he does. I feel like Steve was saying, it's very easy to criticise Ben White based off the 50 million he had actually no say in.
Sorry, lads.
And to be fair, English defender, young, 50 million is an absolute steal for Ben White. I'm sorry. In 2 seasons' time, you won't be talking about 50 million Ben White. Like, he's worth that 50 million now. I don't care what anyone says.
Do you think he'll go World Cup, though, kids? I don't think he'll go. I think that idiot Southgate will pick, his favourite Maguire over Ben White, which is an absolute travesty. An absolute travesty. If he goes instead of Ben White.
Like, looking back on it, I think that maybe Southgate has played, and I hope it's this. I hope Southgate's played Maguire the other day to see where he's at, and now knows this guy is not. You can't take him to a tournament and expect him to play because he's now not played. He's had a horrible season last season. He's now started this season poorly, and in the games that he played in, Man United lost. He's come out and Man United played better. His confidence is shot. Anytime he touches the ball, people are ready to shoot him down. Yeah, you cannot start with him in the World Cup. Yeah. Now, will he take Ben White? I don't think he will. Think he will.
But to me, you got to take players on form, haven't you? You know. Sometimes they'll take players who are just not on it. You have to take players who are on it. We've done that too many times. We're saying an England pod. We'll be talking about England. Later in the year, but. Just for his versatility, just because he can play as a centre back, he can play as a right back, he can do so much. And I honestly believe, I'm not saying again he's a better player. I'm going to get a load of DMs later. I know I will, or someone will call me out on it. But I think he goes instead of Trent because he's too versatile. He's very versatile, and he can do too many more things than him. But
he ain't gonna. He's taken like 6 fullbacks and like 4 midfielders. He's not going to take Ben White. No,
who is there? Who is their right backs? Who is there? Reece James,
Walker, and Trent. And
do you think he'd take Trent? Yeah.
Yeah, I think he'd take Trent. It's the Connor Cody. He'll probably end up taking Connor Cody because of the influence he might have in the dressing room. But yeah, I can't get over the Eric Dyer, if I'm honest. And it's not anything to do with Tottenham. It's just that Eric Dyer was a player back in 2018. Like, I don't know why we've gone back there. I feel like I thought we moved on. Why have we got Eric Dyer and Harry Maguire in the team? Like, it's not needed. But anyway, as Steve said, this is not an England pod. We will be speaking about England during the World Cup. Don't worry. But now it's time to get on the big one. Steve, many people be chomping at the bit to hear any news on these three. Saka, Martinelli and Saliba. It was important before the season. It was important after seeing Saliba after one game. It's even more important 9 games in or whatever it is, and everyone is the vultures are circling. Martinelli, Saka, and Saliba. SMS. Possibly those messages have gone out, and they are three of the most sought after players in the Premier League. How important is Arsenal get these signed up? And did any SMS come into you to give you any updates to it?
Funny, I did have an SMS about one of them today.
All right,
so, but not the other ones. Look, firstly, there's £350 million there. If anybody's, anybody wants, but I wouldn't even. I think they're priceless. I don't think there is a price. I wouldn't sell them for any money because Arsenal are on a process here, and these are eventually the players we want to. Trent scored tonight. Shut me up, isn't it? Or maybe we will take him. But yeah, so that's what he does well, though, Stephen. But yeah, anyway, back to this. I mean, it's massively important that firstly that they all sign up. All 3 of them, are in talks with Arsenal at the moment, and talks are going well. There's been links to many a club. Saliba, Barcelona are circling. Martinelli, we've heard about Chelsea, Saka, Manchester City. Look, this we're going to get this. We're going to get this. We're going to hear this all the time now. We've got 3 of the best young players in the Premiership, if not in Europe, there, who are all worth over 100 million now as I speak. So it's going to happen. Saka, Martinelli, and Saliba, no problem there. That they've already said that they're going to be signing new long-term contracts, and Saka, they're in talks of a contract now. It's going on a little bit too long for my liking, if I'm to be honest, because they've been in talks now for quite a while. There are a few things that have to be sorted out, and Manchester City are massively interested, and that was a little bit of a conversation I had with one of our Manchester City contacts today.
His agent did do this last time. He kind of got dragged out. I don't know what was keeping him from getting things signed up previously. But when Saka signed his last contract, I feel like Martinelli's was pretty much very easy to get done, and Saka's was dragged out a little bit longer. Potentially to get out a bit more money, or do you feel like potentially he could be looking elsewhere?
Yeah, I think they're playing. I think the agent is playing on the Man City thing. I think they're playing on the Man City thing, and they're asking for extortionate amount of money, and that's what's holding it up. I think it's. I would like to think that Saka wants to stay. I'd like to think that he's telling his agent that he wants to stay. I've been told that the agent wants quite a lot of money, so again, that's another thing that could be holding up it being complete. So there's a number of things that it could be, but at the end of the day, I think he'll sign. Man City are interested. I said it in the summer window. They are interested in, and they probably will make an offer for Saka, is what I've been told. His agent is a strange person, so it makes a lot of sense what you've been saying there. Just now about surprised by that. But yeah, but they all need to be done. I think they will be done. I don't think Arsenal fans have got anything to worry about. I can't see Arteta letting any of these go. That's for sure.
So Saliba's dropped a few comments the other day, which states that the talks have started. Saka's agent may be playing a bit of hardball, and Martinelli, we fully expect to get that deal tied up. It seems like it's the expectations are there. I expect nothing less, and it's look, English player, English agent. He's going to try and get as much money. He's going to try and play on the Man City as much as possible. So I get it.
Yeah. Yes, and City want the best. It's no surprise that they would want Saka.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's the Haaland thing, there. But yeah, I don't think it's anything to worry about. I don't. We need to keep these players, kids. We need to keep them badly. If we can't be seen as a team that's going to be selling our best players.
Mm-hmm.
We've been through that. And I don't think we'll go there again. We need this team. We need to show other, players from other clubs, where we're going. We don't want to, show clubs that, we're selling players like Saka, for instance, in January. We need like all the top players in January if we're going to need someone for them to turn around and say, wow, look at Arsenal, top of the league. They're buzzing. They're flying. I'll go there. Not like at the beginning of the season where they're like, shall I? Shan't I? They're not in Europe. I don't think the players are going to look at us like that. I mean, that's another big, a big bonus now, considering where we are, top of the league. If we're going to bring in a couple of players in January of quality.
I think Stephen makes a great point. He said Eddie and Balogun's contract situations were both dragged out, and it's the same agent as well. So, yeah. He does.
Emeki Bassi, his name is. He's a weird man. That's all I can say. He's Jadon Sancho's agent as well. So and that was dragged out. as we all know.
There's a few of them, aren't there? There's I can't remember what they're, but it's a family run agency, I think it is. So yeah, they've got decent players on their books, and if you want to sign them up and keep them, you've got to pay the money. So we're fully expected to get done. It's just patience. Patience is key. Before we go up, 8 minutes left. At what point are Arsenal actually in the title race? Now, people will say that people will say that the point starts at the start of the season. Everyone's in a title race. Come on, let's be serious. You can't say that Brighton are in a title race. You can't say that these teams. It's not a case of we're 8 games in. There is no title race. The only people in the title race right now are Man City and Haaland. And how many goals will he score? And what's the gap going to be between top and second? However, if Arsenal can get past Liverpool, and this is me saying it, I'm seeing the rest of the players. I'm seeing the rest of the teams. Yeah, that we've got to play in this half of the season. Mind you, we don't play Man City until probably the second half of the season because that game got postponed. And that will come after the World Cup, so we're playing twice next season in the second half. I think Arsenal, if they can get a result against Liverpool, they can win the rest of their games up until the World Cup. And if we do, then we're in a title race. So
can we say that if we're first or second, 5 points? Either in front or in that 5 point sort of window, we're in that gap at Christmas, going into the new year.
Yeah.
Then I think we can say we're in the title race.
In the race. Now the race is different to the challenge for me. A challenge, is if you're at the final part of the season and there's however many teams in it with like 5 to 8 games to go. It's still on. Yeah. Mathematically, it's still on.
Yeah, it's like the 100 meters, isn't it? There's 8 people in the race.
Exactly.
They've got to the final. They've got to the final.
Exactly. Like you wouldn't say you went on a cup run if you won the third round. You wouldn't say you was on a cup run if you got past the next round. You'd say you was in a cup run if you got to a quarter final, and I'd say the last bit of the season is potentially the quarter final. You'd say you was in a title challenge. You'd say you was in a challenge to win the cup if you was in the final. You were in a challenge to win the league if you're on the final run. So I call that the title challenge. I will call the race, if we can be in it halfway point in the season, because I'm looking at the games. Yeah, that Arsenal have got to play, and we've got our toughest test is against Liverpool next. No matter what form Liverpool are on, our toughest test is against Liverpool.
I'm not taking that
because it's not just about how they're playing. It's about the mentality of our players going up against the Liverpool team that have been dominant for the last 5-6 years.
Yeah.
So, like, it's not just about them. It's about us and how we go into the game. But after that, you've got Liverpool, the Man City, Leeds away. Then we've got Southampton away. Then we've got Nottingham Forest at home. Then we've got Chelsea away from home. A team that, okay, it's Chelsea, but this is not, even under Tuchel, this is a team that could be beat. Brighton at home, Wolves away, West Ham at home, and then Brighton. No, Wolves away is the last game before the World Cup, and then it's the Boxing Day after that. So if we can go Wolves, Brighton, Chelsea, Nottingham Forest, Southampton, Leeds, why can we not win all those games?
We'd be favourites to win all those games.
Exactly. Why can we not?
So why can't we not?
So if we can get a result against Liverpool, doesn't have to be a win, could be a draw. Then I feel we're in a title race at that point in the season, halfway through the season.
The thing, I tell you what makes this is what's been my thoughts, especially like leading up to the Liverpool game, and this sort of goes into like this will go a long way into sort of me saying that little bit closer that we can win the league, or we can be in a race, or we can be in a challenge. If we beat Liverpool on, is it Sunday? We're playing. Is it Sunday? We're playing them on Sunday. Do you know how many points we'll be in front of Liverpool?
Is it like 11 or something like that?
About 11, 12 points.
Yeah.
So can Liverpool pull that back?
Well, a massive downfall on Arsenal.
Can you see Arsenal 3, 6, 9? Can you see Arsenal losing 5 games, or no? It'll be 6 games because it'll mean that because of the goal difference, right? So it'll mean 6. Arsenal would have to lose 6 games if we beat Liverpool. It would mean for Liverpool to overtake us. Arsenal would have to lose 6 games, right? And Liverpool would have to lose none, right? Don't forget they have to win all those 6. Right. So does that put Liverpool out? Are we so then do we look at it differently? Do we think, because Man City are always going to be there? We know that. We know they're going to be there, right? We're talking about Arsenal in okay, we're not sort of going to a silly degree where we're saying, yeah, we can win the league, right?
No.
But if we look at it, that Man City are going to be in it, obviously they will be. We know that. They'll probably win it. If you're taking out Liverpool, who else is there?
Yeah.
Tottenham, Chelsea, Man United.
But Steve, it's the same as what we were saying last season. This is not about winning the league. This is about enjoying the whole season.
Progression and enjoying it. Yeah.
Exactly. It's about getting towards the end of the season and it's not over. There's something to play for. And that's what we want. All we ask for fans is not 2 months before the end of the season, it's done. Like, we're out the cups. There's no, we're 4th or we're 5th, and there's no going up or going down. That's it. It's like you just play until you get to the end of the season. If we can just be in this conversation, if we can have an exciting end to the season, that's all we want. Yeah. And then that's progression. 2nd spot, 3rd spot, that's progression. 4th spot's progression. Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
It might feel like it's a downfall from where we are now, but 4th spot is still progression, people.
Yeah, we're still in the Champions League.
Yeah, you can't forget that. That's the important thing.
It's still in the Champions League. At this moment in time, can I see Chelsea, Tottenham, Man United finishing above us? No, I can't. I've watched football for a long time now, and Liverpool are just too far behind for me, especially if we get a result against them Sunday. And Tottenham and Chelsea, I mean, in the past I've said Tottenham are better than us and Chelsea are better than us. I don't believe they are. I don't believe they are. I feel they've got weaknesses. I feel they've in some areas have bought the wrong players. I think Richarlison, I'm not a fan of Richarlison, and although Sterling's a great player, I don't know if he fits into Chelsea. Aubameyang, we all know on and off he can be.
Chelsea's got a scattergun approach of buying players again. It's just why I can see a little bit of why potentially the manager wanted a new approach. He's trying to get in a director of football. Because they got Chelsea go through managers, and they've just got their team don't fit. They play Kai Havertz is an attacking midfielder. Yes, a second striker. They've played him up front for the last 2.5 seasons. Yeah, because they've got no centre forward. Then what they do? They went out and got Raheem Sterling, a winger. And then at the end of the window, they just scraped in and got Aubameyang. But is Aubameyang the answer? Because Arsenal were in a situation where they didn't want to put Aubameyang through the centre because his hold-up play is not good enough. He doesn't. He's on the shoulder of the last man, and his link-up play is not good enough. So, what are Chelsea buying there? A stopgap? Once again,
it feels that way.
They've not got a squad that's I think is capable of doing any long-lasting damage.
I mean, you look at their midfield. It's you put their defence, their midfield, their strikers, and you put them up against Arsenal. It's not as good. It's not. Conor Gallagher. We like a bit of depth.
We've added more depth, but there's just certain areas where you just want a little bit more. Look, the Saka.
Yeah.
We have one injury with Smith Rowe. He's out for at least a couple of months. The good thing is, in that couple of months is a month for the World Cup, and then recovery time after that. So hopefully he'll be back for the second half of the season. But
why don't they bring Marquinhos on? I don't get that. He's on the bench there, but they still leave Saka on for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Is he just like? Does he not need a rest? Is it us? Is he, or when he has an half off game? Are we saying that he's tired, he needs a rest when really he's just having an off game? Because you would have thought with Marquinhos. I mean, you look at this when we've made 5 subs at times, and he still leaves him on.
Yeah, I think maybe we are probably a little bit more worried about Saka than needs to be. I worry about him every game because I feel like he's never had a rest. But he had England internationals, so there was 2 weeks of internationals. He played 1 game in that and came as a sub in the other. Yes, we played Tottenham. Will he play in the Europa League? Will he start in the Europa League? It looks the chances are Marquinhos will probably start.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, Reece Nelson's back in training again, back from his injury. I just think Mikel Arteta is looking forward and going, Saka won't be playing in the next game. It's the Liverpool game. So there's going to be a full week until he plays the next game. Before that, it was only 1.5 games in between. He can handle that. I think once we get... My worry is this run of games we've got, and then he goes into the World Cup. And then how much the rest of the World Cup. And then we've got the second half of the season, which is a grueling schedule. That's when I worry.
That's why I think important. You've just took the words out of my mouth, mate. January is massively important, and I'd be probably even more shocked than last January we didn't bring a striker in to replace Aubameyang. That especially that's a great point. Actually, it's a great point. The World Cup. He's going to play. He's going to be starter in the World Cup. So let's play. He has a number. We have a good World Cup, and he has quite a few games. Then, I'm sure Arteta is going to be looking for that right-sided or left-sided or something to play both.
If we finish, as I say, we get a point against Liverpool, and we take the points we should be getting against those other teams. We're in a position coming into January where the January transfer window could be the difference between us having that title challenge, coming second, or finishing the season 4th, or even worse, 5th. Because it could be that important depending on how the World Cup goes for the players that have gone out there. And we've got such a good team that there's going to be a lot of players going to that World Cup. So
yeah.
All right. That is all we have time for. Thank you very much in the comment section. Let me read out Stephen's last comment. He said, Aubameyang is done. He's not the player we had before he left. He fell off a cliff and couldn't score in a brothel with 50 notes stuck to his brow. Yeah, he was not there. And look, I mean, I'm sure we made a lot of excuses for him. I, for one, did. However, it does feel like his head went as soon as that contract was signed. It's now or never for Reece. For me, look, Reece,
forgotten man, isn't he?
For me, Reece, because it sounds harsh, but it's a never. I feel like he needs to move on. I'd like to see Reece get game time at another club, get consistent games and progress. I just don't see him doing it at Arsenal. One thing I did like about Reece's loan was he was very honest with himself, and he realised that he rested on his laurels from when Arsene Wenger gave him that debut. I feel like, because a lot of people have said the Reece Nelson that came in at Arsenal, was like pace, skill, direct. He was what Saka is, but more flair. Yeah. All of a sudden, what I said was the Grealish socks came down by his ankles, little small shin pads, and he changed his game. And it was like, what are you doing? Well, he said himself in his interview, once he got into the Arsenal team, he didn't push himself hard enough. He didn't stay them extra hours after training. He didn't. He took his foot off the gas once he got into the team, and hopefully, for his sake, it may be too late. But I don't think there's a path back.
No, I don't. Same with Maitland-Niles. Similar.
Yeah. Except for I feel like Maitland-Niles, his attitude is way off compared to what.
He got subbed off, didn't he? He got subbed off again the weekend. He just, he got, about half hour. I think, sure, he got pulled off.
There we go. It says it all. All right. Thank you very much, Stephen. Fantastic show. Smash the Chef. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Before I go, anyone who's new to the show, press that like and subscribe. If you are a regular, press that like, smash that share button, as Stephen is doing. Go and follow us on our Twitter. Make sure you join us for the post-match reactions of the European clash against Bodo Glimt and especially the game against Liverpool on Sunday. Thank you very much for joining us, Steve.
Yeah, enjoy tonight, mate. Cheers, mate.
Thank you very much for joining us, everyone else. Peace out, people. Stay safe and wash your hands.